The philosopher who watched God die had a warning about what happens when you stop caring about other people's opinions that could completely transform your life. Nietzsche said something that terrifies the crowd. The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. But when you finally stop caring what the tribe thinks, the tribe panics. Not because you're wrong, because you're free. Stay with me as I unpack why your freedom triggers their fear, and how understanding this ancient wisdom gives you a power that most people will never experience in their entire lives. Right now, while you're watching this, there are people silencing themselves, trimming their dreams, cutting off pieces of their authentic self to fit into boxes that other people built for them. They're dying inside one approval-seeking decision at a time, and they don't even know it. Friedrich Nietzsche saw this psychological prison 150 years ago, and he left us a map to escape it. Listen to his exact words. "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As well, the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be minds." When you stop caring about their opinions, you're not being selfish, you're refusing to die. And here's what nobody tells you: when you make that choice, the people around you lose their minds, because your freedom exposes their chains. Speaking of freedom, I'm curious about the warriors watching this right now. Drop in the comments what city you're tuning in from, because this philosophy is creating a global movement of people who refuse to be controlled by other people's judgments. And I want to see how far this message is spreading. Let me destroy the biggest lie you've been programmed to believe. Nietzsche wrote in Beyond Good and Evil, "You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist." But society needs you to believe there's one right way, their way. They need you seeking approval, asking permission, waiting for validation, because the moment you stop caring about their opinions, you become ungovernable. And ungovernable people are dangerous to systems built on compliance. Strip away all the social programming, and what's left? A simple truth that will change everything. The people whose opinions you're worried about are usually people who gave up on their own dreams, and now they need you to give up on yours too, so they don't feel so alone in their surrender. Think I'm exaggerating? Watch what happens when you announce something bold to your family, your friends, your co-workers. The successful ones encourage you, the ones who quit their dreams tell you to be realistic. Nietzsche understood this psychological warfare. He wrote, "Beware that when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss gazes also into you." The abyss is other people's fear disguised as concern. And when you stop letting it control you, they panic because your courage reminds them of their cowardice. But there's something even deeper happening here. Something about human psychology that Nietzsche discovered that explains why people get so triggered when you stop playing their game. Here's what nobody wants to admit. When you stop caring about someone's opinion, you're essentially telling them they have no power over you. And people are addicted to having power over others even when they pretend they're not. Nietzsche called this the will to power, the fundamental drive in all human behavior. He wrote, "Where I found a living creature, there I found will to power. And even in the will of the servant I found the will to be master." Translation: everyone wants control, even the people who seem weak or harmless, especially them. Your aunt who keeps asking when you're getting married? She wants control over your life timeline. Your friend who mocks your business ideas? He wants control over your ambition so his lack of ambition doesn't look so pathetic. Your partner who gets upset when you prioritize your goals? They want control over your attention, your energy, your future. And when you stop giving them that control, when you stop caring what they think, their true nature reveals itself. Picture this scenario. You know that friend from high school? The one who used to dream big, talked about changing the world, starting movements, creating something legendary. Where is he now? Middle management, comfortable salary, safe choices. His Instagram went from adventure photos to motivational quote reposts that he doesn't actually follow. What happened to him? He started caring too much about what other people thought. Nietzsche predicted this. He wrote, "The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently." Society corrupts you by making you value conformity over authenticity. By the time you're 30, if you're not careful, you become a walking collection of other people, these opinions wearing their values, driving their approved car, living in their acceptable neighborhood, working their respectable job, and you call it your life. But it's not yours, it's theirs. They programmed you and you volunteered for it because you were terrified of their judgment. But here's where it gets fascinating. The moment you break free, the moment you genuinely stop caring, watch how they react. Your family suddenly has concerns about your mental health. Your friends start distancing themselves. Your coworkers whisper that you've changed, that you're not yourself anymore. But here's the beautiful twisted truth: you are more yourself than you've ever been. They're just seeing the real you for the first time, and it scares them, because if you can break free, what's their excuse? Nietzsche wrote about this in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. The higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. When you stop caring about their opinions, you soar, and from the ground you look crazy, rebellious, arrogant, dangerous. They call you names hoping the labels will pull you back down. But once you've tasted that freedom, once you've felt what it's like to make decisions based on your authentic will, instead of their approval addiction, you can never go back. And that's what terrifies them most. Not that you might fail, but that you might succeed and prove their safe, comfortable choices were actually the risky ones. The real risk isn't going after what you want. The real risk is waking up at 60 realizing you lived someone else's life because you were too afraid of their temporary opinions. But there's a specific psychological mechanism that Nietzsche identified that explains exactly how other people's opinions control you. And once you understand this mechanism, you can never be controlled again. Let me introduce you to what Nietzsche called slave morality versus master morality. And this concept will revolutionize how you see every relationship, every conversation, every choice you make. Nietzsche wrote in On the Genealogy of Morals, slave morality is essentially a morality of utility. What does that mean? Slave morality is when you define good and bad based on what helps you survive in a world where other people have power over you. You learn to value humility because pride gets you punished. You learn to value fitting in because standing out gets you attacked. You learn to care desperately about what others think because their approval equals your safety. This is how most people live their entire lives. But then there's master morality. Nietzsche wrote, "The noble type of man experiences himself as determining values. He does not need approval." Master morality is when you define good and bad based on your own authentic will, your own power, your own vision of what life should be. You value courage over comfort. You value authenticity over approval. You value your own judgment over the crowd's consensus. Here's the brutal truth that most people can't handle. Slave morality makes you controllable. Master morality makes you free. And the system needs you controllable, so it programs slave morality into you from birth, through school, through media, through every social institution that touches your life. They teach you that caring what others think is called being considerate, being mature, being a good person. But Nietzsche saw through this manipulation. He wrote, "Morality is the herd instinct in the individual." They convinced you that seeking approval is virtue when it's actually the chains they use to control you. Think about every major decision you've made in the last 5 years. How many were truly yours? How many were you trying to live up to someone else's expectations, avoid someone else's judgment, earn someone else's approval? Your career choice? Probably influenced by what your parents respected or what society values. Your relationship status? Probably influenced by what your friends were doing or what your culture expected. Your lifestyle, your hobbies, your opinions on politics, religion, morality? Probably influenced by what would make you accepted by your social group. Nietzsche would look at your life and ask one simple question. Where are you in all of this? Where's the person who says this is what I want regardless of what anyone thinks? Meet Marcus. Marcus was 32, working in finance, making great money, living in a nice apartment in the city, dating appropriate women, attending the right social events. Everyone approved of Marcus. His parents bragged about him. His friends envied him. His colleagues respected him. But Marcus was dying inside because none of it was his choice. It was all performance. Then something shifted. Maybe it was reading Nietzsche, maybe it was a near-death scare, maybe it was just hitting a breaking point, but Marcus stopped caring. He quit his finance job to become a carpenter, working with his hands creating tangible things. He moved to a small town where nobody knew his credentials. He started dating a woman his parents would never approve of because she was divorced with kids and didn't fit their image of success. And here's what happened next. His family staged an intervention. "Are you having a breakdown?" His friends stopped calling. "You're throwing your life away." His colleagues laughed, "What a waste of potential." But Marcus, for the first time in his adult life, felt alive. He wrote in his journal something that echoed Nietzsche. "I finally understand what it means to become who you are. Everyone else wanted me to become who they needed me to be." Nietzsche wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star." Marcus embraced the chaos of other people, his disapproval, and from that chaos he created something beautiful and authentic life. But here's where most people fail. They think stopping caring about others' opinions means becoming an asshole. It doesn't. And there's a crucial distinction Nietzsche made that most people miss. Nietzsche never said be cruel or disrespectful or harmful. He said be authentic. He wrote, "What is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil." When you stop caring about other people's opinions, you're not becoming heartless. You're becoming free to act from genuine care, rather than obligatory performance. The person who helps others because they genuinely want to is more valuable than the person who helps because they are terrified of being judged as selfish. The person who's honest even when it's uncomfortable is more trustworthy than the person who tells you what you want to hear. The person who pursues their authentic path is more inspiring than the person who perfectly follows the approved script. Here's the distinction. Caring what others think equals letting their opinions control your choices. Considering others' perspectives equals gathering information to make your own informed choice. One is slavery, the other is wisdom. Nietzsche understood this. He wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." Own yourself. That's the key. Not own others, not hurt others, not ignore others, but own yourself. Your choices, your values, your path. And yes, people will panic when you do this because your self-ownership threatens their control. But their panic is not your problem. Their fear is not your responsibility. Their need for you to stay small is not your burden to carry. Nietzsche wrote something that changed my life. "The thought of suicide is a great consolation. By means of it one gets through many a dark night." He wasn't promoting suicide. He was pointing out that simply knowing you have the ultimate freedom to exit gives you power to endure. Similarly, knowing you have the freedom to stop caring what others think gives you power to live authentically, even when they attack you for it. But there's one objection people always raise when they hear this philosophy, and it reveals exactly why they're still trapped. So let me address it head on because your freedom depends on understanding this. They say, "But humans are social creatures. We need others. We need community. We need connection, so obviously we should care what others think." And on the surface, this sounds reasonable, even wise. But it's a trap disguised as truth. Let me show you why. Nietzsche wrote, "The lonely one offers his hand too quickly to whomever he encounters." Translation: Your need for connection makes you vulnerable to control. Yes, humans are social creatures, but there's a difference between authentic connection and approval addiction. Authentic connection is two people seeing each other for who they really are and choosing to engage. Approval addiction is pretending to be what others want so they won't reject you. One builds real relationships. The other builds prisons made of performance anxiety. Think about your closest relationships right now. The ones that actually matter. Are they based on you being yourself or you playing a role? The people who truly love you for who you are, not who you pretend to be to please them. And the people who only like you when you're pleasing them don't actually like you. They like having control over you. Nietzsche saw this psychological manipulation and he wrote, "The advantage of a bad memory is that one enjoys several times the same good things for the first time." Why does this matter here? Because people with bad memory keep falling for the same social traps, keep seeking approval from people who will never truly approve, keep performing for audiences that will never be satisfied. But once you truly understand that their approval is a carrot on a stick that keeps moving further away, you stop chasing it. And that's when your real life begins. Here's what happened when I personally stopped caring about certain people's opinions. And I'm sharing this not because my experience matters, but because it illustrates the pattern you will experience too. I had a friend group that I'd known for over a decade. We'd meet every month, talk about life, support each other, or so I thought. Then I made a major life decision that they didn't approve of. I started a business in a field they considered risky. I ended a relationship they thought was perfect. I moved to a city they found weird, and suddenly the support disappeared. Instead, I got questions that were really judgments. Are you sure you know what you're doing? What if this doesn't work out? Why would you leave someone so great? Don't you think you're being impulsive? And here's what I realized. They didn't want to support my authentic choices. They wanted to support their vision of what my life should be. The moment I deviated from their script, I became the problem. So I stopped sharing my real plans with them. I stopped seeking their approval. I stopped caring if they understood. And you know what happened? Half of them faded away. Just stopped calling, stopped reaching out. And it hurt for about 3 weeks. Then I felt lighter than I had in years because I realized those friendships were conditional on my compliance. But the other half, the ones who stayed, those relationships got deeper, more real, more valuable, because they were based on acceptance, not approval. Nietzsche wrote, "In heaven all the interesting people are missing. The people worth knowing are the ones who don't need you to be perfect, don't need you to fit their mold, don't panic when you choose yourself. And you only find these people when you stop performing for the crowd." But here's the psychological trap that keeps most people stuck. Even when they know all of this, even when they understand the philosophy, they still can't break free. And Nietzsche identified exactly why. Fear. Not fear of failure. Fear of freedom. Nietzsche wrote in The Gay Science, when the most common form of human stupidity is forgetting what one is trying to do. But there's a deeper stupidity, forgetting that you're free to choose what you're trying to do in the first place. Most people are terrified of freedom, because freedom means responsibility. If you stop caring what others think, if you stop using their opinions as your compass, then you have to figure out your own direction. You have to define your own values, create your own meaning, make your own choices, and live with the consequences. And that's terrifying. It's so much easier to follow the script, to let others tell you what matters, to blame them when things go wrong. Nietzsche called this the last man mentality. He wrote, "We have invented happiness, say the last men, and they blink. The last man is someone who's given up on greatness, on authenticity, on the difficult path of self-creation. The last man just wants comfort, safety, approval. The last man has optimized his entire life around not being judged negatively. And the last man is everywhere. He's in the corporate job he hates because it's respectable. He's in the marriage that died years ago because divorce is shameful. He's in the city he can't stand because moving is weird. He's living a life he didn't choose because choosing is risky." And when you show up actually choosing, actually living authentically, actually not caring about his judgment, it destroys his entire worldview. His safety was based on everyone playing the same game by the same rules. Your freedom proves the game is optional. And that's why he panics. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was 28, working as a lawyer because her father was a lawyer and his father was a lawyer. 3 generations of lawyers, and she was miserable. She wanted to be a photographer, traveling the world, capturing moments, creating art, living freely. But every time she thought about leaving law, she heard voices. Her father's voice, "You're throwing away everything we built." Her mother's voice, "What will people think?" Her colleagues' voices, "You'll never make money doing that." Her own voice, the cruelest one, "Maybe they are right, maybe I'm being stupid, maybe I should just be grateful for what I have." Those voices kept her trapped for 6 years. 6 years of dying slowly in a career that crushed her soul. Then she read Nietzsche and something clicked. He wrote, "No one can construct for you the bridge upon which precisely you must cross the stream of life, No one but you yourself alone. That night, Sarah made a decision. She stopped caring. Not all at once, it's not usually all at once, but she started with one person. She told her father she was leaving law. He exploded. Disappointment, shame, threats, guilt trips. And Sarah, for the first time in her adult life, said, "I hear you and I understand you are upset, and I'm leaving anyway." Then her mother, then her friends, then her colleagues. Each conversation was brutal. Each person had their version of "you're making a mistake." But each conversation also made her freer. Within 6 months, Sarah was traveling through Southeast Asia, camera in hand, building a portfolio, making connections, living her actual life. Her family eventually accepted it. Some of her friends came around, others didn't. And Sarah learned what Nietzsche meant when he wrote, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." The psychological death of other people's approval made her authentically alive. But here's the part of the story most people don't tell. Sarah also struggled. Some months she barely made money. Some nights she questioned everything. Some days she wondered if they were right, if she made a terrible mistake. Freedom is not easy. Authenticity is not comfortable. Living without the guardrails of other people's approval is genuinely difficult. But, and this is crucial, it's difficulty in service of your own life, not someone else's plan. Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Sarah's why was creating art and living freely. That why sustained her through every difficult how. Compare that to her former colleagues still practicing law they hated. They have money, they have status, they have approval, but they don't have a why that's authentically theirs. And without that why, every day is a slow suicide of the soul. So here's the question Nietzsche would ask you right now. What's your why? Not your parents' why, not your society's why, not your friends' why. Your why. The thing you would do even if everyone disapproved. The thing you would choose even if no one understood. The thing that makes you feel most alive, most yourself, most real. If you don't have an answer, that's not because you don't have a why, it's because you've been too busy caring what others think to discover it. And that's the tragedy Nietzsche spent his life fighting against. There's one final layer to this that brings everything together, and it's the most counterintuitive part of Nietzsche's philosophy, but also the most liberating. He wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star." What's the chaos he's talking about? It's the chaos of uncertainty, of not knowing if you're right, of making choices without guarantees of living, without the comfort of other people's validation. Most people avoid chaos. They need certainty. They need someone to tell them they're doing the right thing. But Nietzsche understood that all creativity, all growth, all authentic living requires embracing chaos. When you stop caring what others think, you enter chaos. You don't know if your path is right. You just know it's yours. You don't have proof it will work. You just have faith in your own will. You don't have the crowd's approval. You have something more valuable, your own integrity. And from that chaos, that uncertainty, that radical freedom, you give birth to your dancing star, your authentic self, your unique contribution to the world. But here's what they don't tell you. The dancing star doesn't look like what others expect. It doesn't follow the approved format. It doesn't make sense to people still following the script. And that's exactly why it matters. Nietzsche wrote, "You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes?" Burning yourself in your own flame means destroying who you were supposed to be to become who you actually are. Becoming ashes means letting go of other people's versions of you. Rising anew means creating yourself according to your own vision. And the people around you, especially the ones invested in who you were supposed to be, will panic during your burning. They'll try to save you from the flames, not realizing you're not being destroyed, you're being reborn. They'll call it a breakdown when it's actually a breakthrough. They'll say you've lost yourself when you've actually found yourself. They'll claim you're being selfish when you're finally being honest. And Nietzsche's advice? Let them panic. Their panic is not your emergency. Their fear is not your compass. Their need for you to stay the same is not your responsibility. He wrote, "The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die." You're casting skin, they're panicking because they're still stuck in old skin. And your transformation shows them they could transform too, but they're too scared. So they try to stop you, to pull you back, to make you doubt, to restore their comfort by sacrificing your growth. Don't let them. Because here's the ultimate truth that Nietzsche discovered. And it's the reason this philosophy has survived 150 years and continues to transform lives. When you genuinely stop caring about other people, his opinions, you do not become less human, you become more human. You don't become disconnected, you become genuinely connected to people who see the real you. You don't become selfish, you become authentic, which is the greatest gift you can give to anyone who actually loves you. The people who truly care about you want you to be free, want you to be yourself, want you to create your dancing star. They're not threatened by your authenticity, they're inspired by it. And the people who panic when you stop caring about their opinions, they're revealing they never cared about you, they cared about controlling you. Nietzsche wrote in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, "I love him who wants to create beyond himself and thus perishes." Create beyond yourself. Create beyond their expectations, create beyond the approved path. And yes, some parts of you will perish, the parts that weren't really you anyway. The parts you built to please others, the parts that kept you safe and small and controlled. But what emerges from that death is something they can never touch: your authentic self, living your actual life, creating your real legacy. This video challenged something deep in you, didn't it? Maybe it awakened something you've been suppressing. Maybe it gave words to feelings you couldn't articulate. Maybe it scared you because now you know what's possible and you can't unknow it. The philosophers Nietzsche, Kierkegaard, Camus, Sartre, they all faced the same terror and beauty of authentic choice, and they chose freedom over approval. Write in the comments right now, "I choose my path over their approval," because that simple declaration is your first step toward the freedom Nietzsche spent his life teaching. When I see those words from you, I'll know you are serious about transformation, not just entertained by ideas. The warriors who write that phrase are the ones ready to actually change their lives, not just watch videos about changing lives. Your next step starts right now by hitting that subscribe button, because you need a constant reminder that their opinions do not own you. Every time you see our videos in your feed, it's a psychological anchor, reminding you that you have permission to be yourself. And smash that like button, not because it helps the algorithm, though it does, but because that tiny action is you practicing not caring what others think, by publicly supporting content that challenges their control. The people who judge you for watching this content are exactly the people whose opinions you need to stop caring about. We're building something powerful here, a community of people who refuse to be tamed by the herd, who choose authenticity over approval, who understand that the only life worth living is your own. What's coming in the next video will challenge you even more deeply, because we're exposing the psychological mechanisms they use to make you doubt yourself when you start breaking free. The specific tactics, the guilt trips, the shame spirals, the social pressure that makes even the strongest people question their path. You need to understand these mechanisms before they use them to pull you back into the cage. The next video is your defense against their attacks. This journey doesn't end here, it's just beginning. And the deepest truths about freedom are still ahead, waiting for those brave enough to keep going.